are now tuned in to Quinn Radio.
What's up, everybody? It's Kevin Munford at Win Radio, and we're here with a local author here, Lisa Quinn. How are you doing?
I'm great.
So let me ask you this. What got you started into writing?
Well, I fell in love with reading. Growing up in the projects, the ghetto, I found an escape there, just getting involved in the worlds that I was reading. And as I got older, I wanted to read something that wasn't on the shelf, so I created it.
Well, all right. Now, what books were you reading when you were younger?
Okay, now about that. I was originally, like, my mom would read the Harlequin romance novels and the silhouette novels, so I would, like, sneak and read those. And I loved highlights, if you can remember that. I used to get those books. And what really inspired me was when I read Fly Girl by Omar Tyree and The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. That's what really inspired me.
None of these sound like children books, by the way. So
They are not.
So you was reading at a grown person level at a young age.
I was, yeah. I was like 11 years old reading those silhouette novels, the ones that had the guy with the hair back in the days. Yeah, Fabio. Those books. Yes. I fell in love with those books. Yeah.
And you wrote your own Fabio.
I did. His name is C. It stands for Carleon. Yeah, but yeah.
Carleon.
Carleon Stone. That's my character's name.
Oh, so what motivated you to write this book?
This particular book actually came from pure boredom. I was in class in 10th grade at Westwood High School, and I still remember like it was yesterday. Our 10th grade algebra teacher had called in, so we had a substitute, and the substitute was like, y'all just be quiet for the next hour or whatever. And I was just sitting there, and it seemed like I could see the story happening. So as I was watching it happen, I just started writing it. It was a lady behind me, and I asked her to just read it. Like, just read this one page. And she was like, okay, girl, what the rest of it? And I was like, it's not. I just wrote that. And she was like, no, you need to keep going. So I did, and within that sitting, I wrote like a chapter. So when lunchtime came, I let my friend read it, and she was like, oh, my God, girl, you need to keep going. And then the same girl came back with another girl and was like, can she read what you wrote? And from there on, Guilty Pride was born. But no, at that time, it was called My $1 Million. It wasn't titled Guilty Pride yet.
So what made the change in your book?
As far as the title?
Yes.
Well, I had writer's block for like 7 years. I know that sounds crazy, but I did. I didn't know how I wanted it to end. But when I was writing it, like I said, I didn't write it to sit down like I'm finna write a book called Guilty Pride. I wrote out of boredom. And as I was writing the story, it was just so much happening that I couldn't sum it up. So I just used to call it My $1 Million. And like people would actually come up and be like, hey, you got a new chapter of your $1 million? I'm like, yeah, she got chapter 6, get 5 from her, you give her 7. So yeah, so like years passed by, about 7 years, I had a baby and everything, and I was just sitting in the tub, and I don't know, just like the story came to me, the title came, it was like Guilty Pride. That's how you gonna sum it up. That's the book.
So what kind of got you out of your writer's block? Or like, what motivated you to keep writing?
Life did. Life stopped me, and then life made me start back, because I took a hold, like when I got out of school, because I wrote it in 10th grade. I transferred from Westwood High to Treadwell in 11th grade. So when I transferred to that school, I kind of lost the momentum, and then I didn't know where I wanted the story to go, so I stopped. And then years went by, and the ending just came to me. So I was like, okay, Lisa, you got to write the ending, but I never did. So years just went on and on and on, and I just kept the ending in my head. And 2 years ago, I don't know, I just woke up one day and said, I'm tired of working. You need to follow your dream. Because I don't want to get old and gray and be like, I could have did it. It would have been good. Now I can say it is good, and I did it.
So now that you've got your book published, now most people don't know the process of getting their own book published. How did you get your book published?
I self-published. Now, there are 2 different ways to publish. You can self-publish or traditionally publish. That's like going through a publishing company. And I wanted to self-publish because I wanted to be in control of my book, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the book. And I didn't want them to tell me, no, you can't do that. You can't say that. So I just went about it and funded myself and self-published. And as far as that, it takes about, I'll say, $1,500 to $3,000 to at least get started to self-publish your own book.
So it don't cost as much as most people would think. And you get 100% of the proceeds.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as when they sell it online, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and through the publishing company I publish through, which is Author House, they get a percentage. But when I buy books from them, what I sell, yeah, that's 100% mine.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like all that. Now, as far as you obviously work and you have children. So how do you have time to write, basically?
I don't. No, but I do. I found time. Like I said, I just woke up one day and was like, Lisa, you need to do it. So I just stuck to it. I kind of replaced it because at first I was working out. I was like really, really addicted to going to the gym and working out. And I can remember like being on the floor doing my sit-ups like, girl, you up here dedicated to this working out and you ain't even finished your book yet. So, I would tell myself like, well, when the book come out, at least you'll be fine. But when I started writing, I wasn't able to work out. So the only time, my free time is the time I have to write because I work, I got 2 children, I have to cook, help with homework. And the free time I do have, that's writing.
So when you was talking about you had an ending in your head, so when you wrote that ending and you just knew it was done, your book was finished, how did that feel?
Oh my, unbelievable. I cried. Like I broke down when I wrote the ending because I always had it in my head, but I never wrote it. So to write the ending, I don't want to give too much away of Guilty Pride, but to write the ending took a lot of me because I thought I was prepared up until when I had to write it. And it broke me to write the ending.
So would you say some of like your past relationships, you kind of use that as motivation for writing your book?
Not relationships, but like the emotions, because I'm gonna say this, like the story is basically about a girl who cheats on her boyfriend. She cheated on him with his friend while he was there asleep in their house. And and the story takes place 3 years after that. So when I was writing the book then, at the time, all I was writing about was how bad he was hurting by getting cheated on. So it took for me to learn, live and love, and get hurt to understand that her hurting him was just as equivalent as him being hurt. And as a 15, 16-year-old, I didn't know that. So when I was living and learning and broke a heart or two, I was able to write and put that emotion into it to actually hurt somebody because I didn't know that it hurts to really hurt somebody that was there for you 100%, that it hurts. So I can put that emotion in it as far as from my relationships. I can give it emotion.
Well, since you brought up cheating,
Let's talk about it.
That's a guy. So, who do you think cheats more, men or women?
That's not both. It's just it's the way they do it. Like men cheat. I'm not gonna say because they're men because it's way more complicated than that. Well, not complicated, but I'm more understanding of a man. Like I get it. Not saying I'm not okaying it for men to cheat, but I get it because men are men. Women cheat, but they are more strategic about it and they're also more emotional about it. Men cheat and they're probably a little more sloppy about it, but there are no emotions involved. So
Gotcha. Now you also wrote this story in a woman and from a man's point of view.
Yes.
So what made you want to write from a male's point of view?
Because when I was younger, all the books I read were women like, oh my God, he hurt me and this and that and I love him and I miss him. And I wanted to know what a man was thinking. Like, no, you did this to him. What he thinking? What's his side of the story? Because it's really 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth. So I wanted that out there.
Exactly. Now, what has been the overall kind of response so far with your book?
I've been getting a lot of great responses. I get the most feedback from my sex scenes.
I'm very certain of that.
I know. It's shocking to me. Like, even my mama, like, that was one of the first things she gave me on her opinion back was my sex scenes. I was like, okay. She's like, Lisa, you can write porn books. I'm like, Mama, they're called eroticas. And I may dib and dab in it. But yeah.
Hey, there's a market for it. Now, you see that people kind of, as far as reading, they do it off of iPads and maybe audiobooks. Do you still see value in having a good old paperback?
Oh, yeah. All the people I know that are avid readers prefer a paperback. I do. I mean, even me as an author, that I can say now. But I prefer a paper. I can still read Kindle and do all that, but it's just something about it. Like, there's something about feeling that book and then opening and smelling and the creases just... Yeah, I like reading.
Now, kind of like, I guess, a stereotype that a lot of writers like to go to, like, I don't know, a library to write or Starbucks.
Okay.
Do you have, like, a preferred writing place?
In my room, quiet. That's it. I do like to get a bit inebriated, however, beforehand. but in my room quiet.
I appreciate your honesty.
Oh, I'm so honest. I'm sorry.
No, this is great.
Okay.
So, you have anything else you're working on?
Yeah, I'm working on book 2 of the follow-up of Guilty Pride. I'm hoping to be through with that by November. That's the plan. I'm on chapter 6 now. I don't know how many chapters it's going to be. I think I'm like one of the most unorthodox writers because I don't write down how I'm going to do it. I write and I see the story as it's happening. I write it as it's happening. So I got Guilty Pride. Well, I got book 2 because I'm not titling it Guilty Pride. I got book 2 of that, book 3, and then I kind of want to do a throwback because the book I'm doing now wasn't even the original plan. I wanted to do a book leading up until the point of Guilty Pride because when you open it up, you like thrown into this fast-paced love story.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Yes, you are like thrown into it. So I wanted to, after this, I wanted to do how it got to that point, how C and Shorty met, their relationship, and what brought her to cheat on him that night. But stuff be happening in this head of mine, and I had this idea. It was like, no, you gonna write this, and then you gonna write that, and then you gonna write that book. So yeah.
Well, Miss Lisa, I hope much success in your future.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to talk to us.
No, thank you for giving me the time. I appreciate it.
Well, this is Kevin Mumphrey. This is Lisa Quinn, and this is Win Radio.
You are now tuned in to Win Radio.